I'm going to be working on homework 12-2 form G, and I'm going to do problems numbers 10, 14, 15, and 16. All right, so let's start with number 10. On number 10, they're asking for the length of a chord. X is the value, is the length of the whole chord. Okay. Now, because this line is the diameter, they didn't draw the whole thing, and the fact that the diameter is perpendicular to this chord, that tells me that the diameter will bisect this chord. So these two pieces are congruent. That's helpful to me because I can use the Pythagorean theorem to find this length and then just multiply by 2 to find the whole value of x. Okay, so in this case, the radius is 15, which is the hypotenuse. So 8 squared plus x squared is equal to 15 squared. That gives me 64 plus x squared equals 225. Minus your 64 from both sides. X squared is equal to 161. If I divide both sides by 2, or I'm sorry, don't divide both sides by 2. If I square root both sides, x equals 12.68, and so on. Now, that's not the answer, because all I found is from this point over to this point. Okay, so I need to double my answer, multiply it by 2, so take your 12.68 times 2, which gives you your 25.37, which if you round to the nearest tenth, is your 25.4 to find the entire length of this chord. Okay, moving on now to number 14. Okay, in this case, I assume that the problem lies in the fact that, well, the first thing on the website last night on Google Classroom, I did say that you need to know that these are perpendicular to each other. If you don't know that, you can't solve this problem. Okay, now the fact that they're perpendicular it allows you to know now that the diameters, which these are diameters, if you were to just continue that, they would bisect each other. That's one of the theorems in your notes. Okay, but the problem is they're asking you for number 14 for the value of the radius, the length of the radius. Well, from here to here is a radius, and then from here to here is a radius. They overlap, right? That's not a very good. You can't solve that because they're overlapping, and you don't have a triangle to take the full length of these radii. So what I'm going to do, like I told you in the examples before, you can draw a radius wherever you choose, right? You can draw a radius. In this case, I'm going to draw it from N to P. That creates a radius. If you wanted to, you could draw it from N to Q. You could draw a radius from O to Q or P to Q. Doesn't matter. Okay, they're all radii of the same circle because the circles are congruent. So you can draw the radii wherever you choose. I'm just going to pick to work here. Now, the fact that those lines are perpendicular tells me that they bisect the other line. So in this case, if NO's length is 12, that means that this piece right here is 6. And if PQ is 8, then that means that this piece is 4. So now, if I go to solve for the radius, I'm just going to use Pythagorean's theorem. So I'm going to say 4 squared plus 6 squared, and I'm going to call the hypotenuse x squared. That's what I'm looking for. That gives me 16 plus 36 is equal to x squared. When I add these together, I get 52 is equal to x squared. And then if I square root both sides, I get, after I round, 7.2 for x. Okay? So moving on here, we need, for number 15, if NO is 30 and the radius is 16, how long is PQ to the nearest tenth? Well, so this is just like number 10. You're going to find the answer, but the answer is going to need to be doubled. Okay? So let me see here. NO is 30. So if NO is 30, and this right angle is still here, well, that means this piece of the triangle is 15. The radius, they told you, was 16, and they're looking for the length of PQ. Well, if you use Pythagorean's theorem, that's only going to give you half of PQ. So you find x that way, and then double it, and you get the full length of PQ. So, again, using Pythagorean's theorem, it's going to be a little bit different than the one before. I'm going to have 15 squared plus x squared is equal to 16 squared. 25 or 15 squared is 225, plus x squared is equal to 256. When I subtract my 225 from both sides, I get x squared is equal to 31. Okay, and then I'm going to square root both sides, and x is going to equal about 5.5. But again, you've only found this length here. The question is asking for the length of PQ. So take your 5.5 times 2, and you get your 11.13, or I think 11.1 when you round to the nearest tenth. Okay? And then lastly, for number 16, similar setup. The radius again is 12. PQ's length is 9. Okay. So now my radius, still right angle. My radius is 12. PQ's length was 9, which tells me that that piece is 4.5. I cut 9 in half to get 4.5. They're asking, I believe, for the length of NO to the nearest 10. So again, you're going to find from here to here, that's going to be your x. You're just going to have to double it to get that full value. Okay? So you have, let's do a 4.5 squared plus x squared is equal to 12 squared. When you do that, you get 20.25 plus x squared is equal to 144. When you minus your 20.25 over from both sides, you get 123.75. That's what you get when you subtract your 20.25 from both sides. Square root it. When you do that, you get x is equal to 11.1 and some more with a decimal, and then just times that by 2 to get your 22.2. Okay? I hope this helped. If not, obviously, shoot me an email and I'll post another video with a better explanation. If not, enjoy your weekend.